All right. Did you have some more slides?
No, that was it.
All right. Okay. So thank you for that. I'm going to switch this back over to, oh, where did it go? Oh, the big window, this one, right? So again, welcome to our Powered Franklin County Borrowing Awesomeness sessions. And what we are doing is we've got teachers here, empowered ed teachers that are sharing their Borrowing Awesomeness sessions, something they've tried, the successes, their fail forwards, and we'll drop all the links into their presentation. So we just heard from Christy Locklear, and she shared her lessons learned. She talked about learning and that she really maybe needed to spend some more time learning. So let's talk about that a little bit before we go on to our next Borrowing Awesomeness session. You know, how can we help you with that, or what kind of supports would you need?
Since it is math specific, I don't think it's something we need to spend a lot of time on in our sessions when we meet. But probably just was something that I should have done on my own ahead of time. There are tutorials out there. There's a tutorial for everything.
Right.
And if I'm sure that if I had asked the Kelly or ITF, that she would have, pointed me in that direction.
Right.
But she's there. She's helpful. Like I said, it was mentioned in the Empower Ed session that we had.
Right.
So right now, I think that was just kind of an individual thing that I should have kind of taken upon myself.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. And then so is there anything else beyond what you've mentioned, because this is all about solving problems of practice. Was there anything else that you would like to get some help with when you think about, or do a group think about in terms of using GeoGebra the next time?
This was my first time using it.
Yep.
And geometry, I think, is probably about a 45-day series of strands. I'd like to kind of see what else people use GeoGebra for.
Right. And what could you crazy. Wackadoo. All right, I think we're back. Sorry about all the technical difficulties. I think you could imagine that Google Hangouts is get in and figure out how other teachers are doing stuff, is do this thing called learning walks, which are non-evaluative. Basically, let's go observe for 5 to 7 minutes and then see what other great, awesome things teachers are doing in their classroom. And so that might be helpful for you, correct?
We actually have one planned.
Yay! Yeah, when will that be?
February 24th.
Woohoo! Learning walks, non-evaluative. Check out the NCED chat from last night and you can learn all about it. So let's give it up for Christy. Woo! Thank you so much for going first. I will drop her link into the Twitter feed in just a minute so you guys can take a look. She has some links on her presentation, so I'll be dropping all these ladies' links into the feed and just right after we get done broadcasting. All right, well, thank you, Christy.
You're welcome.
All right, so now what I'd like to do is I'm gonna turn the camera, but what I'd like to do now is move on to our next Borrowing Awesomeness teacher. Her name is Rachel Murray, and she is an 8th grade math and English language arts teacher. I'm going to let her introduce herself, and then we'll share your
teaching. Math is the subject I like better, to put it mildly, but this is my first year teaching math and language arts, and I'm originally from Ohio, so OH.
Woohoo! I'm going to Columbus next weekend!
The tool I used was Voki.
You want to do switch? You want to get started with your presentation?
Let me just give a shout out before we do that.
Do it.
Kelly, our ITF.
Woo! Kelly, Meering. She's all over my tweets. You can check her out. She's amazing.
Great ideas, and she was the one that kind of gave me this idea, and she helped team teach that day. So
you mean you borrowed awesomeness from someone else?
I did,
and it worked.
You
get out of here. What do you think about that, NC? All right, here we go. Let's take a look at what she wants to share with us. Again, remember, I will drop all of these links into the Twitter feeds after we get done broadcasting. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and screen share, and she's going to take it away and tell you a little bit about her awesomeness. You ready?
I am.
And you're just going to use that arrow button and you're off.
All right. All right, so the standard we were going over that day was, as you can see, 8.f.b.5, which was describe qualitatively the function relationship between two quantities by analyzing a graph. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but
They can do it. They can read, right? They're reading it right now.
Yes, that's why I figured halfway through I better stop. The day before I did this lesson, we did together as a whole class, we practiced. I gave them pictures of graphs, and we together made up a story that would match that graph. So anytime they see something increasing, they automatically think, oh, something's going up, but that's not always the case depending on what your x-axis and y-axis are labeled. So we went over that and talked about how if the graph wasn't starting at 0, you know, you couldn't start a roller coaster. Roller coaster has to start at 0. It has to stop at some point. So we went through all that the day before and kind of got them thinking about the different types of scenarios that could go with the different types of graphs. The I can statements I chose were I can statements for that standard, so they didn't all necessarily go with this one-day lesson, but the whole unit would focus on those I can statements. And the vocab that I did was part of stations. I'd had 4 stations that day, and this was just one of the stations, but it was really cool and the one that I wanted to focus on. Okay, so this was the problem they were given. As you can see, it was about a bike race, Antonio and Juan, and the students had to, what's the word I want? I'm sorry, I'm having to, they had to look at the graph, decipher the graph, analyze the graph. There, that's a good word.
Blooms.
Thank you.
Let's climb up Blooms.
They had to figure out, first of all, who won the race, and then the part that we used the vocab for was they had to imagine they were watching the race and had to announce it over the radio, and they had to write their little announcement, and that's where we used the vocab. They did have to write their announcement down on paper before we gave them the Chromebook to start getting on and using technology, so I made sure that they were analyzing the graph before they got to the fun technology part. As I said, vocab was a tool that I used. If you're not familiar with it, you can click on that link in the middle here. It'll take you to vocab, but it gives you different characters you can use. You can personalize them, you can customize them, and then the vocabs say whatever you tell them to say. So that's what the students use to use their vocab, announce their announcement for the bike race. I have a couple, I'm sorry, I keep saying I have a couple examples here from students. You can see the different characters they created. Some are very strange, some are very, they kind of almost look like the students, if you knew who the students were. You can also click on the 4 different examples, and it'll take you to their actual vocab. Can I do that now?
Sure, if you want to, absolutely.
Can we just listen to one?
Sure, of course.
Okay, let's listen to this one.
Love it.
And it'll take you to the vocab that the student created. Oh, it's going to go through the internet.
And that's okay. But what we'll do is we're going to drop this link in, right? And
yes.
So we're sorry about that. You know, sometimes it's difficult when you're borrowing, you know, you're here in a county. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? But the good news is that I'm going to drop this link into the Twitter right after this is done, and you guys can take a look at all of these great presentations, okay? Well, in fact, why don't I just do that right now? All right, you can keep talking.
Okay.
Keep telling us.
Okay, and then once the students did create their vocabs, we had a Lino-it page. Sorry, I'm not good at pronouncing that.
We don't know. We thought about it for a year. How do you pronounce it? Line-it, lean-it, line-no-it. We don't know.
I asked Kelly beforehand because I want to make sure I said it right, and that's what she told me, so you can blame her.
All right.
But then they posted, each student posted their own vocab to the Lino-it page.
Nice.
In the sticky notes, so that once students created theirs, they can go and listen to other students' vocabs and compare to the one that they had.
So you mean that you had kids create at the top of Bloom's, right?
Yes.
And then you went above Bloom's to what I believe should be publish and share.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because why would you have kids create, right?
Correct.
If you didn't have them share. That just doesn't make any sense, right?
Correct.
You agree? All right. All right. So I'm going to tweet out her presentation. Here it comes, y'all. All right. So what I'm going to do is switch you back. We're just going to get you back on. I'm going to stop screen sharing. And what I'd like to do now is just, talk to you. You talked about your successes. You talked about your fail forwards. So how can we help? What other problems of practice when you're thinking about using vocab? Love that you use vocab for math. Vocab for math, people. Come on. What problem of practice did you kind of encounter that maybe we could do some group thinking with you about?
The only problem I thought that I encountered was that the students took too much time customizing their Voki, which you didn't see that coming.
So what is the thing that I talked about remember we talked about this probably the first day and you don't remember. So remember what we talked about when you first introduced a tool? So what did you have kids do? What do I get you do?
A play day.
Right, have a play day, right? We call it a session 0, right?
Yeah.
So what you should do is that, at least in my humble opinion, is that I believe that the couple of days before you're even going to use a tool to amplify student learning, that you should let kids get on the tool and get it all out of their system, right? And give them an assignment that is not connected to student mastery, but like make a Voki and introduce yourself. Right. And because kids have to get that out of their system, right? And I also think that you got to set some ground rules around that. You have 5 minutes to get your Voki together, because I had the same thing when I did kids and we were doing repeated readings. It was the same thing, but I literally spent a whole period just letting them fool around with Voki and then get it out of their system. So good idea. Anything else we can help you think about to solve another problem practice around using Voki?
No, that was my only thing.
How did you handle, because one of the unfortunate things about Voki's been a great tool. I've been using it since like 2008, something crazy like that. It's been around a really long time. How did you help kids understand that they couldn't use the pay characters? Did you have a conversation about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kelly and I put it up on the smart board before we gave them the Chromebooks to go through it, and kind of gave them a run through and showed them if it had the banner on the corner, that was a paid one.
Banner, not good.
One.
Green banner,
Correct.
Avoid the green banner. See, that's good, and that's really smart. So that if you're out there, guys, and you're using Voki's great. You can do literature characters. You can do what this great lady just did. It supports all sorts of content areas, and most importantly, it gets at that modality, right? Some kids will say more in a Voki than they might say in class, right? But you do have to do that session 0 and get them prepped and making sure. And unfortunately, there are characters in Voki that you have to pay for, but there's no reason to pay for a Voki, right?
Correct.
Right. And so, what did you think your kids overall plus Delta? What did your kids think of Voki?
They liked it.
Yeah, they love it.
And I loved it because it kind of forced them to do the graph. Like, they were so excited to go do the Voki that they wanted to get their announcement done and wanted to analyze the graph so they could get onto Voki and make their announcement.
So do you think that Voki in this case deepened student learning? Absolutely, right?
I do.
All
yes.
right. Woo-hoo! Yay! Give it up for Rachel. Thank you so much, Rachel. Really appreciate that. Thank you for taking risk with intention, and thank you for being willing to fail forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We love you. Your kids love you.
All
right. All right, guys. So we've got another teacher up on deck who is getting ready to share her awesomeness. And so ready to join you is going to be Catherine Bates. She's a 6th grade math teacher, and I'm going to turn it on over to her. Here she comes. Here she comes. How you doing, NC Ed? How you doing out there in North Carolina Digital Learning Day? Woot! Here we go. Catherine,
Hello.
Tell us about yourself, and then we'll switch it over to your presentation.
My name's Catherine Bates. I've been teaching middle school for about 14 years. This is my 2nd year in 6th grade, and it's been a great learning experience.
Oh, 6th grade. I did that.
Yes,
in 6th grade.
I've normally been where Rachel was with 8th grade.
Oh, okay. Big difference.
Huge difference.
Huge. I taught 6 through 8, so I know.
Huge.
Yeah, huge.
Huge difference.
All right, so we want to turn over to your presentation?
Sure.
We're going to share. All right, here we go. We're going to switch it over. I'm assuming this is you. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're gonna switch it and share the screen, and you're just gonna push yourself through your borrowing awesomeness lesson.
Oh, right.
Let me close this little guy and put you back on over here, and you're just gonna push that. Off you go.
All right. I decided that we were going to go through and we're going to do a TAC. TACs make my life 100 times easier.
Go TAC.
In class.
TAC.
The one thing that we started with is how the kids can become a digital learner. They've taught me a lot of things, but instead it was my world we were going to do this with. And I just included the TAC website just in case for some strange reason you don't know what it is. That just explains why I do TACs. You can embed videos, you can use digital task cards. It frees you up to do work individually with struggling students while the others are still engaged. And
so you mean differentiating?
Absolutely.
Are you talking about differentiation?
Yes, ma'am.
No way.
Absolutely.
With a digital tool?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And here is the tack that we used when they were going through it. Hang on.
It's okay. It's the interwebs.
Gotta love County Net.
We're on Google Hangouts. You know how much bandwidth that takes. You know. We're going to breathe. And if it doesn't come up, it's okay because, Catherine, I'm going to drop your presentation into Twitter.
Okay.
So don't even worry about that. You guys can see it. I'll drop that in just a minute, I promise.
One of the biggest things that we have decided to use, if it comes up, okay, we use the videos and we pull them from LearnZillion.
Nice.
We'll pull them from Edpuzzle. We have been lucky enough to even find some from Khan Academy. But what it does is after we've had the day of instruction with the kids and we've gone through and we've discussed things with them, we give them videos that they're to go back and to supplement what they've done compared to just listening to my voice the whole time. So they have a series of videos that they have to go through and watch. They take their own personal notes, and then from that point, as they continue to go down, they end up with activities. Sometimes it's through IXL, sometimes it's through, in this one I actually embedded a digital task card sheet that they had to do.
Right. So basically this TAC, even though it's not coming up, what this TAC really does is this is sort of the blended learning platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
It allows for enrichment or remediation.
Right.
Like we just had a snow day, so your kids could have been at home looking at this TAC
Mm-hmm.
because you have you've curated the content already to
Right.
support their learning, right?
Right.
So I promise, guys, I'll drop this into Twitter. Again, Catherine's presentation, and I'll drop this into Twitter in just a second. In fact, let's just do that now. What do you think, Catherine? Let's just do that right now. Maybe they will be able to get it. So let's do that right now. We love Twitters, y'all. We're going to drop it in right now. So this is to our TAC. And I'm just going to tag that. Sure, I think I would be able to type upside down, but I'm not. It helps if you type right. So keep talking. Tell us what else you did.
Well, and as they continue to go through that, we've got some kids that don't know how to take notes. Of course, they are in 6th grade. That's a big struggle that we have.
Yeah.
Had. That, you've got ones that have learned. Yes, it's, January, February. They've learned. But then you've got others that are still struggling. That allowed me to go and work with them individually. And then there's some that when they got to the task cards, they were just rocking them out. They knew exactly what they were doing. But then there were the other students who didn't quite understand. They were using their notes. And I have several students that are scared to put the toe in the water to try to do things on their own. With 6th grade, we're noticing a lot of, I don't know how to do it before they even attempt to do it. They just don't do it.
Right.
So this is allowing them to kind of go through, and they have to be able to watch the videos, use their notes, and then say, this is what I've tried, now what do I do?
Right. So you're just really doing a really good job of personalizing the learning,
Mm-hmm.
differentiating the learning, and then kids can go back, relearn what they need to
Right.
learn. They can pause, they can rewind, and then you're helping them build a skill set, right, that we don't often think about because, we always talk about student achievement and student mastery, but I believe the goal of learning is helping students to know how to learn.
Right.
Right? And so that's kind of what you're doing. They're becoming their own, we're talking about student agency
Right.
and student advocacy, right? And we don't spend a lot of time doing that. And you've done that with a TAC.
We're working on it.
We're working on it.
We're working on it.
So let's talk about that a little bit more. So what, you've shared some of your successes and some of your fail forwards. So what's something that you'd like to talk about or think about, like, that you might want to help change or do differently next time that I might be able to help you think through?
Well, when you go through and you pick out videos on LearnZillion,
Mm-hmm.
it'll say 3 of 7.
Right.
What it doesn't tell you is this is the 3rd one, but then the 4th one's going to follow, the 5th one's going to follow.
Oh, okay.
So we
did not know that.
We've gotten to a lot of where the kids are like, do I watch the one on evaluating expressions? I'm like, no, just
Just
stop.
the one.
Just the one. So I need to figure out how we can pull that one video out
Right.
to utilize it. And then
Mhm.
something that we're really having a hard time with is not everybody has headphones.
Right.
And so even though we're watching videos,
Right.
we've spent personal money. Of course, teachers don't spend personal money.
Right.
We've gone and we've done runs to the dollar store just to get cheap headphones so the kids have them.
Right. Right.
So it's something they can use. Hey,
That's right. Okay, so something to think about, folks. When you're doing these blended learnings and you're doing a lot of video or content, even though learning is loud and messy,
Mm-hmm.
there is this idea that, kids do want to concentrate and be
Right.
thinking about that. So that's when maybe you put a jar out during open house.
Mhm.
You beg, borrow, and steal,
Mhm.
right, from anybody. You go to the dollar store, you ask them. You go to
Mhm.
Walmart, you go to Kroger, you go to everybody, and you just beg, and you just say, hey, this is what I'm doing. Is there enemy? I did that, right. I've done that. I went around to all of my neighborhood Walmart, Kroger, and I just said, hey, I'm a teacher. I need this. What can you do for me?
Mhm.
Even if it was like $25 at Harris Teeter, thank you and please, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So we are going to have to advocate where, money is tight. We can't really tap in. Maybe think about having a conversation with your PTA.
Mhm.
Talk about maybe have a conversation with your principal, but definitely tap into your local communities. If you happen to be, going to the store and buying some milk, just ask for the manager.
Right.
The worst they will say is no, and you're no worse off than you were when you first went into the store to get your milk.
Right.
Right?
Yep, that was a lesson that I learned when I first went off to college. Sometimes you have to ask for what you need.
That's
and
right.
Usually you'll get it.
Right. And you
And
guys. So that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up.
And word to the wise, if you will email Mead, they will send you 200 composition notebooks at the beginning of the year.
Mead. You're talking to M-E.
MEAD.
Did you guys just hear that? You're welcome for that awesomeness. You're going to take that. So Catherine just said, if you email Mead, MEAD, they will send you free. You heard it here. Free composition books.
I've been spending 50 cents.
What? I used to go to Target and get the 10-cent deals.
Mhm. If you tell them you're a teacher, they'll send them to you.
Who loves Catherine? I love Catherine. Bet you love Catherine now, right, NC? Right, NC Ed? All right. Well, let's give it up for Catherine. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your awesomeness.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for what you do every day for students in the state of North Carolina.
Appreciate it.
All right. All right. So next
sir.
we have Patricia Corman, up and ready.
I'm here.
She is here and ready to share her awesomeness. So before I switch over to your presentation, why don't you tell the folks out there who you are and what you teach?
Okay, I'm Patty Corman. I am from Bud Middle School, and I teach science to 8th graders.
And what have you been doing for the last year with me?
I've been having awesome professional development with Dr. Hervey, where I'm learning. Where I'm learning how to use digital content in my classroom, which is amazing.
To amplify?
To empower.
Empower! Yay! All right, all right. Okay, so what we're going to do
Mhm.
is we're going to pull up your presentation.
Okay.
And then I'm going to screen share.
Okay.
And then you can just advance your slides. Okay, so
Wonderful.
we're going to do that right now, and then we'll turn back the camera, and we'll kind of debrief like we did with Catherine.
Okay.
Sound like a plan? Awesome.
Yep, yep.
So you are live to the world. I'm going to put on your presentation. Oh, of course. Come on now. Let me close this tack. I think this tack is trying to draw a lot. We love the internets. Remember?
Especially when it works.
We love the internets. Hopefully this will pull up. If not, just go ahead and maybe set us up. Tell us what was the lesson, and
Are we going to wait for it?
no, we're not going to wait for it. Unfortunately, we are not going to do that. We're going to try to refresh, guys. Thank you for your patience. We know what this is like, right? This is why we're awesome teachers, because we're agile. We can keep breathing. We're not going to panic. We do not have to call a fire truck right now. No one is losing their birthday. All right, here we go.
Okay, so this is about using ThingLink.
Woo! At ThingLink, it rocks.
It does. It's true. Okay. So let's see what that looks like. Oh, here we go.
Oh, you can just use her.
I tried that.
You got it. Okay, no
Yeah.
worries.
So this is the most recent ThingLink assignment that I gave my students, which is where we were learning about evolution and what do you call it? Adaptations and natural selection and all that good stuff. So here is the Common Core standard that's associated with it, and their ICANN statements of what they will be able to do at the end of this assignment. So this is what a ThingLink looks like, and it's basically a beautiful picture of your choice that becomes a series of assignments for students to work on at their own pace. So this is really perfect for differentiation.
What? Did you say differentiation?
I said differentiation.
When using a technical tool?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Just saying.
So, Dr. Hervey described those students that you have with helium hands. I thought that was appropriate for a science class.
That's from Jackie Bell, by the way. I know you're watching, Jackie. That's from my friend Jackie Bell.
Credit where credit's
Jackie
due.
Stevens.
Thank you, Jackie. That was really perfect, especially in the science classroom. But so my students understand that they have must-do assignments and may-do assignments. So in other words, they get through A through E. That is their must-do. They know they have to do the letters. And then when they're finished with the letters and they're, I'm done, what now? Do the colors. And the colors are ones that they can do like Quizlet and things that they can't just say, okay, I'm done now. I'm like, nope, have you mastered that vocabulary? Play some more games with that vocabulary.
So I want to stop you right there because this is really important because this is one of the things I do love about ThingLink. So just to recap, in case you missed it, what she's saying is she uses the letters and the colors to differentiate. So her kids know that the letters are must-do and the colors are may-do. So are you talking about student choice?
Yes.
Are you talking about student agency?
Yes. And
does ThingLink get you there?
Yes.
What do your kids think of that?
They like it.
All right. I didn't mean to interrupt because I just think that's so important. If you're looking for a tool that really gives you a way to really give voice and choice to students, ThingLink is a great. It's not the only way, but it's one of the most powerful ways, and that's actually, is that what I said when I taught y'all ThingLink? That's the main I would use it. All right, off you go.
That's why I like it.
All right.
So on this particular ThingLink, so it's called ThingLink because you're linking to all kinds of other websites. So I have a couple of examples of other websites that I have linked that particular ThingLink to, one of which is Edpuzzle, and hopefully, I think, did somebody do a broadcast on Edpuzzle today?
I'm sure somebody somewhere, somebody somewhere probably is. I bet you.
Stuff. So you have this little video, and so they can watch the video, and then this is what the dashboard looks like on the back side. It shows you the questions, how well they answered them, whether they needed to rewatch or not. And I probably should have chosen a better example of that, although I'm having a hard time getting my kids to press the stupid rewatch button. I'm like, it's right there, guys. If you don't know the answer to the question, hit rewatch.
So maybe we'll talk about that later. Let's talk about let's talk about that.
That's an Edpuzzle deal.
That's an Edpuzzle deal. We'll just figure that out. Hey, Edpuzzle, listen to us. Make that easier for kids. All right, go.
I don't know how, except for like a mallet to beat them up.
There we go.
So, and then there is another website that I linked to from the Science Channel that had like a little game for them to play about adaptations. It has a quiz at the end.
What?
So that was C, I believe, on that ThingLink. And then the final pièce de résistance was a TAC project. And here's one on the right that I'm particularly proud of. This child had no idea what he was doing, and I actually got to sit down with him step by step and walk him through this process because everybody else was engaged in working.
So you got to give kids time in the moment.
Yes.
Because the technology we know that research shows that it improves student engagement, but what that allows for you then to provide that very critical one-on-one instruction, and FAIR is what kids need, and not all kids are going to need your direct instruction all the time.
Exactly.
But that one
allows you to focus on
that. I love it.
So great.
So they had a ThingLink, and then they had to create a TAC. What is happening?
And there's a screencast embedded in this TAC. It's a screencast that I made where I made my example one to show them how to make a TAC.
Okay, awesome. I will be dropping this in. I promise. I know I keep saying that, y'all, but y'all just have to hang on, and I promise I will it'll all go out there.
So this is some reflections on lessons learned. So this type of lesson requires you to teach the children how to use it. They've never seen ThingLink before.
Right.
So like I said, my kids know they have their must-dos, which are A through E, and their may-dos, which are the colored dots. So that's like, an expectation that you have to communicate to them ahead of time so that they know what they're doing.
And how long did it take you to get, how long would you say that you kind of had to keep scaffolding that message, right?
Like a couple of assignments.
Okay. So they're not going to.
They're on like the 4th or 5th one now, so they're good to go. I don't have to tell them anything anymore.
But you had to definitely set them up.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then sometimes, of course, you have A through E that they're working on, and then they get to D and they're like, Edpuzzle's down today. It happens, right?
What? You mean the internets are not going to work?
Yeah.
What?
So I just tell them skip D for now. We'll come back to it.
There you go. You mean you're agile and you're flexible, and if your lesson went south in your heritage practice, you would do the same thing. The technology doesn't change that?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Just checking.
So the other obstacle that I have with these is telling the children where to navigate to find them, basically.
Right.
And so there's many different tools that Dr. Hervey has showed us to communicate that out. But my favorite one of all is that I can embed it in my own personal website that they work off of every single day, so they're familiar with it and they know where to go. I have an assignments page. They go on the assignment, and then I get to tell them really colorful ways, like, we're working on the volcano today. We're working on the, I put my wave one in here because I entered the lottery to hike it this summer, so wish me luck.
Yay! Wish her luck, thunder luck, NC.
March 1st is the drawing, so keep your
Okay, well, we're keeping our fingers crossed.
Yeah. And so there we have it.
Okay.
That's what I got.
So let me switch it back, and then I want to dig a little deeper into that whole sharing websites, because what we know is that that's the problem, right? Kids cannot type in HTTPS / blah 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 blah. So let's talk about that problem of practice. So direct links are hard, right? But we don't want to put that 120 camel case thing up on the board or anything. So you can either hyperlink it. But let's talk about
that's what I meant.
Right, hyperlink it. So let's talk about what would be some other ways that I've shown you that you could potentially, let's say you didn't have a website. Let's say you're out here.
There's Bitly.
There's Bitly. Okay, so there's Googly, so you can do a shortener, right? And doesn't matter which one you do. Bitly is great. You can customize it. I'm a Googly girl. I go back and forth depending on my purpose, right? But really, it's just about getting it down to about a 5-character thing. And you know that you don't have to put HTTPS : / in front of URLs anymore. So you don't have to put that on there for kids. Kids do not have to type that. If they were just to type tac.com / KB114 rocks, which she does, like they would go to that tac, right? So what's another way? So we talked about shorteners, hyperlinks, shorteners. What's another way to quickly get kids quickly read with your weapon of mass instruction?
Oh, doggone it. I know. QR code.
There we go, right? So she could also very easily, so she could do this in 2 ways. She could have the direct link like sitting on the table, right? But what else you could do is maybe she could even have a QR code that's on the table that's laminated that takes them directly to her assignment page, right? So either changing the QR code out, or put it in a Google Doc, or having them on the table, or maybe a QR code to wherever you're housing everything. But those are just some ways, because we think that is the biggest, like one of the challenges, getting kids where you need to go in a timely fashion.
QR code requires paper, though.
Yep. All right. I hear
and
that.
That can be an obstacle for us.
But you could put it on a Google Doc, and then you can use a Chrome extension to QR reader on your Chromebooks.
No kidding.
Yes, you can read. You can read QR codes on a page with the QR code reader. I want to say that's the name of it, but I'll look that up. So what else? So you've done these thing links. You talked a little bit about. This idea about how you really did a nice job of talking about how ThingLink did this differentiation. So talk to us just for a brief moment about. What was there any problems of practice when you first started to design that? And then more importantly, how did you get student buy-in to this idea, like that everyone might be on their own path? And what was their reaction?
Computer in front of them.
Oh, well, there you go. You mean you just let them do what they would do normally?
Yeah, I put a computer in front of them, so that helped a lot.
Okay.
But the novelty will wear off.
Yes, you can't go to the same well every time, guys. Yeah. Heritage practice, right? Kinesthetic activities, getting them up, moving around. Okay.
And then they go, well, we're not using the computers today.
Yeah,
like, hey,
you'll be all right.
Spice of life.
You will live. You will live. You will too survive. So differentiation, getting kids to buy.
They really liked the fact that they could work at their own pace. Yeah. Because they didn't feel like the pressure of, I have no idea what's going on. I still have no idea what's going on. And then I think, so recently, they and I had this epiphany where we realized, holy crap, everybody's working. Ms. Cormick can actually sit down with 2 people and walk them through this step by step, and so they realized that, and I realized that, and so since then they're just kind of like, hey, I need some help over here, and I'll like literally pull up a chair and just sit beside them, and then walk them through it until they understand what's going on.
And were you able to do that when you did whole group direct instruction?
No.
All right, so I want to talk to you about 2 things about that. So would you say that you using ThingLink the way that you were using it, with the numbers, the must-dos, and the may-dos, right? Do you think that that's helped turn your classroom into a blended learning environment?
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing that it does too is it helps with classroom management simply because your helium hand kids aren't floating around the room like balloons.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
they have something to do, and I try and pick like super like the really really good stuff that not every kid's going to be interested in.
Right.
But the ones that are through the material and are like, okay. I mean, a lot of them really like to play the games on Quizlet.
Right. So you always want to have those extension activities in your back pocket, or go to Google Art Institutes,
exactly,
or right.
yeah.
You're always going to have the I'm done.
Things
I'm
that they're
done,
super interested
right?
in, yeah.
You got it, but we've been doing that since the dawn of time. Kids have always been done, right? Even if it was paper, pencil, or rocks and sticks, right? All right. One other thing I want to check in with you about, because I don't want to borrow trouble, but I know that when you first talk about this idea that you had said very clearly that kids were on their own learning path, self-directed, personalized learning on a ThingLink. Now, I know that there might be a teacher out there that might question like how engaged students were. So could you talk about, did you experience, because that's what a lot of teachers sort of assume, and we know what assume, we don't want to assume. So did you have any issues with kids not jumping in, being off task?
They like the A through E, honestly, because they go, done with A. So it's like a to-do list.
Right,
right? So okay, done with A, moving on.
Right. So you would say that if someone were to say that to you, and I might hear that once in a great while, because I think that's the big piece.
It depends on what you're linking to, too.
Right.
So if you're linking to boring stuff.
Oh, so what you're saying is that your content curation has to be relevant. It has to be authentic. But you did not experience, but you didn't anticipate either. So you didn't borrow trouble, right?
No, I was going into it
like they will do this.
A little naive, but also excited just to see what would happen. So experimentation.
So you were willing to take risk with intention, and you were willing to fail forward.
But I didn't fail.
But you didn't fail, right? You didn't fail, but if you had, it wouldn't have mattered.
Right. And I would have just gone back to the drawing board.
And you would have just gone back to the drawing board, but you feel a moral obligation to take risk with intention, to partner with technology to support student learning.
Yep.
All right, because it's and so is there anything else about ThingLink that you want to share with us before we let you go back and do this thing called teaching, which she's got to go back and do?
Oh, they're working on their.
Are they on the ThingLink?
Are they on the ThingLink? They're actually not on a ThingLink today. They are on Edpuzzle. And
Yay! So she's getting all that back end data. Can you imagine this?
The only thing is, the only reason that I didn't, that they're not working on a ThingLink right now is because it's still under construction.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. There's a thing called time. Where's the app for teacher time, right?
Yeah. We need an app for that.
We do need an app for that, right?
But I need an app for vacuuming.
The cool thing is though, like once the time is invested, then it's done.
Wait, say that one more time, because I hear this all this time.
You spend, let's say, an hour making the most beautiful ThingLink ever.
Okay.
It doesn't go away. You can use it next year if it's successful. If the children are engaged, you can use it next year. You can use it the following year.
But you could tweak it.
You could.
So are you saying that there was a value add in your investment up front? That did you actually get instructional time back?
Yes, because on the back end there's less time processing. So in other words,
preach it.
So remember,
it.
The panel that I showed you on Edpuzzle.
Yeah.
That one is doing the grading for you. It's doing the analysis of the data for you. All you have to do is look at it and see where you need to make it.
So you mean that your assessment, you're using Edpuzzle to do some of your formative assessment, and you're allowing that data to drive your instruction?
Craziness.
Get out of here.
Yep.
That is amazing. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to give it up for Patricia. Woo! All right, y'all. I think that's going to conclude. I want to thank everybody here at Empowered Ed, right? Go forth and conquer.
This is great.
Yes. All right, I'll see you in March.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Well, I think that's going to do it here for us in Franklin County and schools in North Carolina. So excited to have had the opportunity to bring these amazing, amazing teachers into your computers, into your earbuds, and I hope that there was something that you could borrow awesomeness from. Have a great North Carolina Digital Learning Day. I hope that you are taking risk with intention. Take care, y'all.